You know, every single day, companies get hit with this absolute tidal wave of customer feedback online. So how in the world do they make sense of it all? Well, today, we're going to decode that chaos with a pretty fascinating case study all about U.S. airlines. Let's dive right in. So here's the big question, right? Every day, companies are just bombarded with thousands of comments, reviews, tweets, you name it. How do you possibly find the really important messages, the signal that's hidden inside all of that noise?
I mean, look at this. It's a complete jumble of feelings and topics. You've got happy words like great and thank you smashed right up against negative ones like delay, cancel, and bad. It's just a wall of messy, unstructured feedback, and trying to find any clear pattern in there with your own eyes, it's pretty much impossible.
And that brings us to the source material for this whole explainer, a data set that is exactly this challenge. It's a massive digital wall of tweets all aimed at U.S. airlines.
Yeah, we are talking about over 14,000 tweets. Just for a second, imagine trying to read every single one of those, categorize them, and figure out what the core message is. It's a totally overwhelming task for any human team. So, how did this project tackle it?
Well, you build a solution. In this case, the project we're looking at basically created what you could call an analyst in a box, an automated system that's designed to do the heavy lifting of a human analyst, but, at machine speed and scale.
So what's inside this box? It's a containerized natural language processing pipeline. Now, containerized might sound super technical, but all it really means is that the whole system is neatly packaged up so it can run easily on pretty much any computer. And it's built to do one thing really well: read and understand human language.
The whole process basically works like a 4-step assembly line for text. First, it pulls in all 14,000 raw tweets. Step 2, it cleans up the text, stripping out all the weird symbols and internet junk to get to the real message. Third, it analyzes the content to figure out what it all means. And finally, it visualizes the findings so a person can understand the results in just a glance.
All right, so let's get into the first part of the analysis, gauging the mood. The system's first job was to answer a really simple question. Were these passengers happy, angry, or just kind of neutral?
To do this, it used a technique called sentiment analysis, which you can just think of as the project's mood detector. It's a machine learning model, specifically a logistic regression model, which is a really common and reliable way to train a computer to read a tweet and slap a label on it: positive, negative, or neutral. So how did it do?
The results were actually pretty darn good. The model hit an accuracy score of nearly 80%. What that means is that about 4 out of every 5 times, it could correctly guess the sentiment of a tweet it had never even seen before. That's a really solid start.
And here's the full report card for our little mood detector. You see, beyond just basic accuracy, you have these other metrics like precision and recall. They basically measure how well the model avoids making specific mistakes, like, say, calling an angry tweet neutral. The short version? These scores just confirm that the model was genuinely understanding the text, not just getting lucky with its guesses.
Okay, so we know the overall mood. But knowing that people are unhappy isn't nearly as useful as knowing why they're unhappy, right? So the next step was to find the actual themes bubbling up in the conversation.
And for this job, the project used topic modeling. Let's call this one the theme finder. It uses a popular algorithm called LDA to automatically sift through all those tweets and group them into distinct topics. You can think of it like a super-powered sorting machine just for conversations.
This is where it gets really interesting. After dumping all 14,000 tweets into this theme finder, what did it actually discover? What were the main things that people were really talking about? All right, the first major theme it found was all about logistics. The system identified this huge cluster of tweets that were all focused on flight cancellations, problems with booking, and trouble getting a specific seat. This is that classic, super frustrating part of travel where your plans just fall apart before you even leave the house, a huge source of customer anger. But hey, it wasn't all bad news. The second theme was a real bright spot: positive feedback. The algorithm found a whole bunch of conversations where passengers were actually thanking employees, praising great customer service, or just sharing a really good travel experience. For an airline, this stuff is pure gold. It tells them what they're doing right. Unsurprisingly, the third big topic was all about the wait. The system found a massive group of tweets talking about flight delays, spending hours waiting at the gate, and of course the timeless frustration of lost or damaged baggage. This is the kind of stuff that really grinds people down over time.
The fourth topic was a bit broader. It captured more general complaints. These were the tweets where people were using words like bad, terrible, or never flying with you again, but without tying it to one specific thing like a delay. It's kind of the "I'm just fed up with you" category, which points to a bigger problem with the overall brand experience.
And finally, the fifth theme was all about that cry for help. This group was packed with tweets from people stuck on hold, asking for someone to please call them back, and basically begging for direct customer support. It really highlights a huge failure point. People are turning to Twitter because the normal support channels just aren't working for them.
So here they are, all together, the 5 core themes of the airline passenger experience, discovered automatically, straight from the data. And here's the crazy part to remember. The machine didn't know anything about airlines or travel. It just found these undeniable patterns in the language people were using, and it turned all that unstructured noise into a clear roadmap of what customers love and what they hate. And this really brings us to the whole point of the project. It successfully took that chaotic wall of text we saw at the very beginning and completely transformed it into structured, easy-to-understand insights.
And this is really important. This wasn't just some academic experiment. The entire system was built to power an interactive dashboard. The end goal was to make all these findings accessible, so anyone could just click around and explore the sentiments and topics for themselves.
And that's what's so powerful about this stuff. This explainer showed how an algorithm could decode airline feedback with some incredible clarity. But it really makes you think, doesn't it? What could a system like this reveal if you pointed it at the online chatter about your favorite brand, or a product you use every day, or even your favorite sports team? The possibilities are pretty much endless.